It's not live.
Yeah. Hey,
I don't know how long we got, but we
if
can
I
go.
get out of this, I'm gonna try something because I
Okay.
screenshot some things in my photos. I don't know if I'll disappear or not. If I do,
Go ahead.
I'm doing it
We'll
now as we
see.
speak. And I just did like my payouts because I wasn't at the office long enough to print all the payouts and questions that might arise from those payouts, like the guaranteed $10,000 payout. Yeah, well, what's second play? What's 10th?
Well, see, okay. So, like I said, I didn't read everything. Hey, I'm recording this, by the way, so we're already on. So
Yeah,
I didn't. You did go away, but it doesn't matter. We can still hear you.
but am I back?
You're back.
Okay, so as soon as I come
Okay.
back to the app, I'm in.
Let's. I didn't. Okay. Like I said, I didn't read everything. I just went over it. There's no reason for. I knew I was going to talk to you, and I kind of wanted to wait to hear from you.
I wanted to get you earlier, to be honest with you, before all hell broke loose. I really did.
You should
You
just.
know, I wanted to kind of get it out there with my boy Todd, and
Yeah.
bam, there it was. It was like, well, there goes that. And you were
Well.
fishing like cow something.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. The Kings of Cowtown.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think this is bad because now we have the freedom to talk about everything a little bit. You don't have to
True.
worry about like the payout thing. So and like I said, I glazed over things. I mean, you talk about badly. If I spent 30 seconds on the entire thing, that's how long I looked at it. I just kind of like
Yeah,
scrolled through it.
yeah.
So I did look at the payout. That was like number one. And I saw 22. I saw a potential 20. I saw 150 boat field or
Yeah.
whatever. And I was going, I don't even know if they'll ever get that. But you said 10,000. See, I didn't even read that.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad. Like you said, I'm
I
glad we
didn't know it
kind
was
of waited.
guaranteed.
It's 10,000 guaranteed, no matter how many boats show up, up
Oh,
to 100 boats, and then it will scale from 100
oh,
going up.
that's way different than I thought then.
No, well, I'm glad I'm here. I hope it's
Yeah.
better for the
So,
better.
yeah, no, big time because okay, so I feel like I'm a tournament director or organizing tournaments, right?
That's a glorified carny, by the way.
That I've never actually done before. But
Yeah.
I can tell you all the things from 25 years of talking to fishermen and about what we all want and what everything, or not even what we want. What it was. I don't even want to bring this. Yep, perfect, way better. The dual threat fishing, and no
Oh
one's talked
Lord.
about that
Yeah.
in a while. Um, when tournaments come around and that guys put them on, it's rarely ever fishermen. And
Yeah.
so you got these guys that come through there and I'm like, hey man, there's about 14 red flags you got up on your new tournament you want to start, and let me explain them to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can put $10,000 all day long over a payout, and you have 100 based on 100 teams. I'm like, dude, what happens when you get 12 teams?
Yeah.
You'll never your year-long tournament that you just planned out, you will have one event and no one will show up for the next one. And
It's true.
so, right. And so, like, guarantee anytime there's a guaranteed payback of this, regardless, and people are scared to do that because you don't know who's going to show up.
Right.
So there's all kinds of things like that are a big deal. The dual threat fishing, when I saw that, they had too many green flags.
Yeah.
And so when me and Russell were going over that stuff, it was like the red flags were gone, and it was like, we're gonna do this, 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 and this. And I was sitting there going, hey Russell, they can't do this, right? And Russell's like, no way.
No
They
way.
were actually,
Not sustain it. I mean, you can
yeah.
do it for one.
Yeah, we were like way too many green flags. Like they went and like we guaranteed everything, and I'm like, no, not going to happen. So that actually scared us away. Was all the green flags of going, we're going to do this, and it's all, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not
So
going to happen.
I think when we came up with the 10,000 guaranteed for anything up to 100 boats, I truly that I think we're just putting our money where our mouth is.
Yeah,
I think we're going to fish in some areas. I think we still. I can't take the participation that we have right now and say that that's what we're going to be next year. I think it has to only go up. At least a little in certain areas. Some areas, it's going to blow the doors wide open. I already know. We've had so many people call. I've had so many anglers call me, want to know how they can enter now because they feel they're going to be on the outside looking in. There's certain divisions that will hit that 225. I mean, it's just going to happen. My choo-choo division, we fish 200 plus now. Now let's throw in 150 guys that are going to want to go solo. Let's throw in 90 to 100 boats that want to fish with their son or whatever. Now that they can compete with their son at a higher level, it should. I don't want to put the horse or the carriage in front of the horse, but there's certain divisions that should do really well. But like I said, we know there's certain divisions that are going to not be very successful, and that's where we'll come in. And people always cry about. I shouldn't say that here on the video, but
You
people
can.
suggest with their constructive criticism that we change too much. And I tell people all the time, show me a business that doesn't change with today's day and age, and I'll show you a business that doesn't exist. And when people forget how much other organizations change, we just happen to be the one that's in front of everybody's face. Not to throw the opens out there because it's a fantastic program. If you're wanting to try to make the elites or the classic, go get it. Good for you. But let's not forget, it was a boater co-angler situation. Then they went to boaters only. Then they had a couple of divisions. They had an east and a west or a north and a south. And then now they've changed and they've thrown in the EQs. There's changes all along the way.
And it's funny, like, and I'm I haven't ever really talked about this before. I don't want to go too deep in this. I've been watching some podcasts, so maybe this is why I'm going there. I always kind of like look around, like, where am I supposed to be in life? Where am I, like,
I think I wake up every day and say that.
Well, I do it more or less on the fact of like making like I'm 99% sure. No, I'm 100% sure I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing now, which I never really would have thought that 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Sure.
But I always kind of, even when I was younger, when I didn't fish the elites and I didn't fish on the tour and I didn't do all that stuff when I'd qualified all those years. And it was tough sometimes going, man, should I be here? Should I not? Like, why has my path led me this way? Because I was pretty smart about it, in my opinion. And then, and like I said, the Lord always navigated me through to where he wanted me to be. And it was always real easy for me to see that. And it was funny with the opens that it was like every time they changed the qualification to the elites,
yeah.
Like I would technically almost qualify the next year if they had kept it the same.
Sure.
And I was just going, because the first year I made the top 10, but they didn't do it that way. They made it the top 3 in this little in whatever
in each division or whatever.
Yeah. And so I just looked at all that stuff and I'm like, yeah. And now it's like, yeah, I never, and even like the MLF deal, when the 2 years I did it, it was great with FLW and stuff. And then it literally got bought out the third year when I was going to do it again with Costa and everything. And I'm like, oh, man, I finally got here. And then everything just got changed. So anyways, I say all that because it's always been changing. It's been changing. All these things change constantly. And so I'm used to it. And I don't necessarily say I like it. What I'm saying is that like I've just like, man, I've gotten really good at adapting to those things, to changes. And I think fishing has always been that, man, who can just stay with it the longest. It seems like the really good fishermen have just figure out a ways to always just always are in it somehow. I'm talking about within a tournament, within an Angler of the Year race, with whatever. They just always seem to adapt and kind of like make it on to the next year and just keep going on.
That old cheesy saying, the cream rises to the top. I know it's very cliche, but it's so true. It is. I mean, the guys that live, breathe, eat tournament angling will excel. I don't care what format it is, they're going to be in or at the top. Back in the day when I had the choo-choo division, which I always seem to have the choo-choo division, and I talk about it a lot because it's one of them divisions I've had 15 times. But we used to run all tournaments on Gunnersville in that division. But it got to the point that I could pretty much tell you the top 5 checks that I was going to write in no particular order, but I could write those checks with their names on them before takeoff. You know, I knew
Yeah.
who was going to be there. You know, the Derek Rimmets and the Casey Martins and the Ryan Salzmans and the Jim Learys and the Halls and I mean, the Elaine, you know, Alex Davis. Those guys was going to catch a check in the top 5 before we left. So then we had to change and kind of move it around, you know, because we were losing participation because of the anglers started to figure like, man, why do these guys always end up at the top? Because once again, the cream always rises to the top. So we had to make adjustments to the schedule. We added Chickamauga, we added Pickwick, we added Smith Lake to the schedule. Increased the numbers, did really well. But then, you know, you start to drop back a little bit. They start realizing, well, these guys are kicking my tail here too. We should have stayed at Gunnersville.
I don't. Let's get this out of the way so we don't have to go over it ever again. That's the problem. So I think surprisingly, a lot of people in my video from yesterday, I don't really like talking about, I talk about LiveScope a lot. I don't really like talking about it in a negative way or positive way because I can go, surprisingly, I shouldn't say this, but I can go this high on the positive aspect of LiveScope. And I can really go the other way too. I can go on the most negative part of it as well. I see both sides of it and I have it. And so like, it's crazy. Like I have it and use it. It might do phenomenal in a tournament and get killed by like people will like talk bad about it, you know, if I talk about it good, and then vice versa. And I'm like, hey, look, man, like I've talked about tournaments that I've won good and bad. I can talk about good and bad in a lot of different things. The LiveScope thing, I think, and I don't care what anyone says, because I think about this almost every day, is always still going to be a problem and an issue. And I don't think there's a solution. That's my bad part. That's my bad. I don't think there's a solution. I don't know if there's a right or wrong. I will say on this fact of what you were saying is that the LiveScope around us, because I talked about this a little bit, and there were some guys up around, I don't ever fish up there, Virginia, what's the, not the Potomac. They all commented like, what are you talking about, Todd? We don't have that problem. I'm like, yeah, y'all live on rivers and stuff.
Yeah, like James River, Tidal River. You
come down here, and anyone from Texas will tell you, and because it happened, it didn't happen on Rayburn first. Rayburn was a little late to the party, but the bell curve on Rayburn went from like when they figured it out on Rayburn, it was like instantaneous, never win another tournament unless you're scoping. Toledo was the same way. There's still some other smaller lakes around here. Conroe was one that they figured it out about less than a year ago. And now these scopers are showing up to Conroe and beating everyone on Conroe. And these scopers are like, and they're all young guys. And I'm not saying that. I'm like, they're all young guys that are like, they're just fishing. They don't care where they go. So they're going 2 hours here to fish a stupid Tuesday night or somewhere.
Because they just want to fish, get some.
Yeah, and they're beating everyone. And so now it's affecting these like Tuesday nighters and like these little weekend deals. And now guys are really complaining, and they're like, y'all are gonna have to do something because they're ruining what we had for 40 years. I can see both sides, and people are like, that's like, figure it out. And I'm like, hey, look, you can say that, but let's be real. It's not like I mean, it's not like, hey, those older guys need to go figure it out. No, those older guys will stop showing up.
Exactly.
And so they can say, hey, we got to, you know, you've got to change it sometimes, because you've got to figure out how to, you can't just sit there and go, we're going to keep it for those 4 or 5 guys that are just going to win all scoping and forget those other 40 guys. I think personally that within the industry, maybe not that when LiveScope came around and the changes didn't happen quick enough, I do think a lot of those older guys that were 35 to 40 and older all felt like their opinions didn't ever matter anymore. And they just went the other route, and they're like, hey, we're trying to tell y'all. And then all of a sudden they stopped showing up. And now it's like, well, yeah, man, they should have got better and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but but in my opinion, it does. it was always about participation.
Yeah.
Because if you lose participation, and it's not the whole stupid thing about growing the sport. Growing the sport has nothing to do with tournaments. Tournaments were like its own thing outside of growing the sport. Like
Sure,
tournaments
there's
were,
two different deals. There's fishing,
yeah,
and then there's tournament angling.
yes. And
Yeah, I get it.
so tournament, like most fishermen don't care about tournament angling. And so anyways, I just saw that. I don't know what y'all were supposed to do with that. I'm interested on how that plays out. I think some divisions are going to thrive. I think some of them are going to be.
Yeah.
I think some of them, the scoper's going to take over, and that's what I was kind of talking about Raven. I think they'll take over, and it might be one of those deals where y'all look up in a year and go, we might have to cut some of those divisions.
Yeah. Now, I'm like you. I can go both ways because I've got scope on my boat, and I think it's funny. People see that I go to the gym and they see what I run tournaments. They forget that all of us tournament directors
Fish.
tournaments before we became tournament directors. I just didn't trip into the fishing industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm that guy. I'm that guy you just mentioned. I'm 50 now. And, when forward facing sonar came out, it was on our staff boats immediately. The Phoenix boats got filled up with it. And, but I didn't want to go out and adapt with it because I felt I've been catching 20 pounds every time I fish a tournament at Kentucky Lake. Why do I need that to still catch 20 pounds? Which is still the case. I can go out there and I can hope to be successful. I don't fish as much as I used to. But what I'm implying is I still fish our annual Jetta, Marine, the Ranger Boats tournament that they put on every year. And I still go out there without my electronics. And I'm still competitive. And I think some of the guys, when forward facing came out, had that same mentality that I had. I don't need that. I don't need that cheater
That was
box.
me.
Yeah.
That was me.
And granted, now do I wish I was better at it now? Absolutely. I'd be a liar if I said otherwise. But so I think that's where some of our generational or the older seasoned anglers or tournament anglers, happened to them. Because I was talking to a guy this morning and he asked me if this doesn't work, are you going to ban forward facing sonar and try that route? And I told him, I said, look, dude, you are in your 40s and 50s like me. You've had every opportunity to learn this technique, just like I did, and I chose not to. But he's like, but these kids in college are so good. Here's the thing, though, man. We had the technology when that kid was 12 years old and in seventh grade. We've had every opportunity to learn how to fish with that technique while we are so good at our previous techniques. Those kids that are so successful now, I mean, look at Tucker Smith. He's 19. When
Yeah,
forward facing sonar came out, he was 12, 13 years old.
my biggest thing is that, like, I think I have a pretty good understanding of it in the sense of I look at it. See, I can go either way with it, so it doesn't bother. Like, so I'm probably the one guy. I'm in the 1% that will thinks that I understand it both ways and can and will be fine either way they went with it, right? However, I am always, I'll be straight up honest. I loved right now in the MLF and the BPT and in the elites and in the Toyotas and our little tournament down here that we have where you got to catch a limit before you can live scope.
Right.
Call me a pessimist, but man, hold that thought. I didn't understand my dad watching golf.
Yeah.
Okay? He watched golf all the time. I was a kid. And finally, one day I'm sitting in there and I always used to take a nap because he's watching golf, right? And I'm like, dude, why do you, and he was a guy, he was like the best athlete I ever knew, basketball and everything, but he watched golf. He could play golf. I never hardly saw, but he didn't like play it as much. But anyways, I was like, why do you watch golf? He's like, I like Sunday golf. I said, why? He goes, I want to see who folds under the pressure. And I was kind of young, so I didn't even understand that pressure deal. And I'm like, really? He's like, I just like to see who rises above. this fishing thing, and this is just me, but I don't care. I love to watch those guys struggle who are good at live skills. I don't even try to hide it. Dude, I didn't watch a single second of the elites this past weekend.
Yeah.
I looked at every day. I looked at who caught them.
Yeah.
And I was going, because they couldn't use it, right? They couldn't use scope. And I was like, you would have been in the top 10, but you're not. And I watched in the BPT when it's like the 3-hour deal and stuff, and it was like 23 fish and then 1 fish, 2 fish. And I'm like, and so because I got tired of the guys arguing that like those guys would catch them.
Right.
And I'm like, no, they wouldn't. I got tired of the arguments from people that had no idea what they were talking about. And I'm not going to lie. I like to see those guys struggle because it's such a different deal. And yes, the young guys are good with it and stuff. But everyone's like, well, YouTube and all these things are why young guys got good all of a sudden. And I'm like, or it's this one thing that hit our sport, like the Koike times 1,000, which is and I was going, no, and I'm not upset about it, but I was like, I do think it's like I always compare it to like the old man going, well, I used to walk uphill both ways in the snow. Yes. The struggle of fishing and not catching a limit and catching 2 or 3 in a day, or like not, like the struggle some days where it was like miserable. I still think there's a part of that the older guys look at other guys and go, man, that guy dealt with that. And now you see a lot of these young guys are just going around catching. And I know it's hard. I do it. I do it all the time. It's still not easy, but man, 10-pounders are not a big thing anymore. I mean, guys are going out there, and so I think there's a lot of that aspect into all of it. Either way, I don't know how you can't resolve it. You can resolve it in the upper tournaments where you're paying for a full year. It's hard to do it because they say, why don't you go if you did every other thing in the BFLs, you know what would happen?
You have said this a few times in your videos, and I have preached the exact same statement since the first time that statement was asked. Why don't we do one on, one off, one on, one off? Why don't you make this division with it, this division? Listen, we're getting 80 boats with everybody playing the game, or 110 boats with everybody playing the game. You start saying, I can drop the technology on that lake, but not on this one. Well, that lake's going to have now 40, and this one's going to have 60. Or they say, we can do it in the same day. Make a forward-facing sonar tournament and a non, and we'll just do it on the same day at the same location. Great. Now our payouts just went from 3,600 for first place. Now we're going to split into 2 tournaments. And you're going to make 1,100. And you're going to make 900. And a guy in last place check, which is probably about 6th place, compared to because of the numbers you out, is going to give them their entry fee back.
Yeah, I know. Like they don't get that.
I don't understand it. Why people just
I know.
Still ask that question, because use common sense. It's not going to grow.
You get the separation. It's just like you saying, like division. I've always say like divisions might need to be cut. Things like tournament trails. I always say, man, the worst thing we have is too many tournament trails. And people brought up the comment that I saw the best was like, I think the one comment that made me more mad than anything when the BFLs came out. Great. That's all we need is another team trail.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. And no one yet on my YouTube, not one comment has come back and told me about a trail for $500.
Yeah.
And, I know the one in Alabama Bass Trail, right? But I'm like,
but they're 400.
They're 4. Okay. So like in Bass Champs, and you disappeared on us. You're still here, but I don't know where you went. Your screen went black. All of ours are around after side pot and things like that are all like 400 or something like that. Are you still there? Nope. He went away. I think he messed with his phone. He'll be right back. Let's see. He's probably in the, and so, I mean, he probably already knows all this. So far, I've not heard of a single comment of someone coming.
Right, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Of all people, Daniel Fennell called. So
Yeah,
get out of
come
here.
on, Daniel. You know, I kept going about. There's not these. It's not the same. All the team trails are all from around the country are like 300 or 200 or less, right? They were the same trail that I fished when I was 16 years old, you know, and they were 150 or 100 $200, and that's what people want, which is still weird to me because back then the dollar was everything has gone up by I said this the other day, like I went and bought a Coke the other day and I was just $3.19. And I just
Yeah,
remember
I saw this in that video. What was it, say $1.08?
when I was not when I was in college. I
Yeah.
used to go, and so this was in 97, 98, 99, 2000. So it wasn't that long ago, right? It was like 99 cents. And I'm going, so everything's going up by times 3, but we're scared to raise our entry fees up $50.
Well, we did it.
Well, I know y'all did, but I'm
did
saying
like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and it plummeted dramatically.
it's crazy. And I'm like, man, and then they wonder why the payout's bad. And it's like the payout's not bad, but like, well, I'm only making this much money. I can't. Then it's like they complain, well, I can't pay for the gas. Well, no, you can't pay for the gas in the rooms because you won't let us raise the entry fees. Like, I'm not a big guy that wants to raise the entry fees a crazy amount. In my opinion, 500 is the least you could have done. And I say this, it cracks me up when everyone's like, you can't have $1,000 entry fee. And I'm like, do you know how many people across this country are going out and fishing the opens, the pro circuit, the Toyotas, and all these trails? And the Toyotas are $1,800. $1,000 entry fee is one, you're splitting it with someone. And I'm like, so you got all these people go co-anglers. What's a co-angler entry fee in a Toyota?
Mark's gonna kill me, but I'm pretty sure $550.
That's the same as if you had $1,000 entry fee. So I'm just going, the $500 entry fee should be the smallest entry fee that y'all should even come. I was hoping it was going to be 1,000, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no,
I understand that, but everyone looks at it and I'm like, no, it's $500, guys. This $500 entry fee is not $500. It's $250.
Yeah,
it's $250. And so it's like, it's not that, dude, I spend $100 every time I fill up my truck.
Sure. You know, I always compare it to my wife, you know, when we're shopping, and she says, hey, yeah, but it's $110, whatever it may be. Just put it in your head, whatever you want it to be, just make it that. But honey, it's $110. Okay, so we don't go to Texas Roadhouse one time this month, you know, because my wife and I go out to eat. And if you sit down and you have a little appetizer, you know, you eat your meal and you get a little dessert, it's $100. It's $100. It's $100.
Dude, it wasn't until about a year or two ago, and I got 2 kids, you know, and we go to Whataburger all the time, and I'm like, $43 at a drive-through. I'm like, dude, I don't remember we can do all this for. So like everything's gone up, right?
Sure.
And it's just like, and the only reason I say entry fees, I'm not asking entry fees to go to a crazy amount. It's just, if you want, you can't complain about not getting enough money in the payback if the entry fees don't go up. And like I said, it's the one thing in fishing that has never gone up. Everything else has gone up. And if you add on, everything's gone up times 3, and you can't even double an entry fee and people go crazy. I mean, we're not, like, if you'd have gone up with everything else, the entry fee, every entry fee for every tournament should be minimum $500. $150 entry fee 25 years ago.
Sure.
It was a club deal, should be $400 to $500. And I know that people think that's crazy, but like, if they want to talk about the past all the time, then the past entry fees back in the day were sky high.
Were stupid expensive.
Yeah. But no one complained when they won a boat and they won these things and they won 10 or 15, 20 grand. And I'm like, well, if you won 10 or 15, 20 grand back in the day, you should be winning 40 right now in a team event.
Sure. And what people forget or maybe they don't forget. Maybe they just don't know. Maybe they don't
They just don't
think.
know.
They just don't know. While the entry fees have stayed the same, so we're bringing in the same X dollars
Yeah,
for a 100 boat tournament. The cost to do business is 4 times the amount.
I know.
Like you said, gas. They don't. They just don't see how many employees we have.
I
There's
know.
only 6. We only bring six people to a BFL, but it's typically a husband and wife that pull the trailer, um, 2 guys that will share a room that do fish release and boat check in the morning. My dad's one of them, and I can tell you, my dad snores like a bear. So the young man that travels with my dad, Jason, if you ever see this, bro, sorry. I wish I could get you your separate rooms, but we don't have the budget for everybody to have a room. Me and my son travel together. He's my tournament assistant. Anyway, so there's 6 right there. So you got hotel rooms that used to be, I could get a Holiday Inn for $89, $99. I just did one last week up at Cedar Point at Sandusky Bay, and the Holiday Inn Express was like 264. I
They,
mean,
they
it's
wanted people.
ridiculous.
They wanted y'all to do a live scope one day and a non-live scope the next day, and I'm like, oh, so you want all their operating costs to go up double?
Double. Now I got to feed 6 people for another
Yeah,
24
and I was
hours and
like,
hotel rooms.
yeah, and so I thought the $500 one was good. Like I said, I was hoping that's what it was going to be. I didn't know the guaranteed money. I didn't pay attention to that. And so that does make it interesting I'll tell you one thing. So the guaranteed changes my opinion doesn't change my opinion on what Raven will look like. But I will say this. If you've got nothing going on that weekend and you're like, man, I'm kind of hoping only 20 people show up. Dude, we used to love those tournaments where we think no one's going to show up to it.
And then
Like,
they
oh,
were, then they were there because
yeah.
everybody thought that.
Well, maybe no. Sometimes they weren't there. Like there's some tournaments that like people didn't show up for, and it was like, all right, like it's guaranteed we're gonna still we still have a chance to win a bunch of money. So I mean, no, it's gonna happen.
Sure.
It might not happen as much in y'all's because it was even happening with like the dual threat fishing stuff. I know I go back, but like they didn't fill up.
No,
because people didn't trust. And I know that's a bad example, but my point is that like when you're a new trail in a new tournament and you put out a guarantee, if you don't put out a guarantee, who knows? But even that guarantee, people still are kind of unsure. And I'm like, hey, me and Russell used to always be like, hey, this guaranteed, we're showing up.
it's
I
a
don't care.
lock.
I
It's a lock.
hope 19 show up.
Yeah, right. As the
You know,
competitor, I hate seeing big numbers.
right.
As an organizer, I'm hoping everybody thinks there's
It-
only going to be 20 boats there, and next thing you know,
I saw the
105 on the
100.
water.
Yeah, I saw the 150. I saw it based. I thought it said based on this.
Yeah.
So because the fine print of any tournament trail is $20,000, second 10, third 7, all this stuff, and then at the bottom it goes all based on 200 boats. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I had this cat that not that I would not say his name, but obviously in the last few days I've had everybody that loves their local team trail has sent me their payout that's better than our upcoming payout. Well, I had this cat send me their flyer, and sure enough, it was real comparative. His tournament trail in the Ozarks area, it was very comparative. I mean, I think they had a 18-foot boat for first place at every qualifier. Which 18-foot boats are hard to sell.
yeah,
Real hard to sell with a
yeah.
150 motor on the back. It's hard to sell. Anyways, but the payouts were real close. And then as I looked at his flyer, I'm looking down, based on 250. So I said that to him on social media.
How many times have you had 250 people show up for an event? Is probably what I would ask them.
And correct me if I'm wrong. You're comparing the payout from our 150. I could be wrong. I'm reading this, so tell me if I am. But it says at the bottom of your flyer, based on 250 boats. So if that's the case, let me get out my 225 boat payout. Then let's see what's comparable, because that's our highest one, as far as we can go. Now let's compare. And crickets.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
Oh, yeah, he might be right. Or, well, whatever, man.
Whatever. No, it was. He did not say you might be right. I'll bet $1 million. It was whatever. It was whatever. And so, like, yeah, I look at all that stuff and pay attention. And I'm interested to see scheduling stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
The only thing that I looked at, and I don't know how many people. So I said that in my video, and I had some guys comment, and so I kind of read them. The Red Crest deal.
Yeah. Okay. Because you and I spoke like 2 months ago, maybe a month ago, when this first started getting rumored, and listen.
Hey, you want to know the first rumor I heard?
Yeah.
Okay, just because. So when I make those videos, and me and you, but you never told me anything. Like I made a video, and then you text me, and
I reached out to you.
You're like, hey, you're pretty close, but I was real vague about what I. But
you said, I'm not going to talk about the carrots that could be postseason, but I'm liking what I'm seeing.
I want to tell you the carrot. This is why I didn't write too many green flags. It was like I heard. That's why I didn't say it. That there was some regionals, and that the top 3 boats of the final regional thing, whatever it was. So like the one, all 6 of those guys are going to the Red Crest.
Right. And originally, that's what we had put in.
Oh, okay. So, see, I didn't know that. But I was like, man, that sounds like a lot. And I was like, man.
But let's be honest, man. If you're any one of those BPT guys, they only take 25.
Oh, pissed.
They're salty. And I think that's really what it came down to. We work as a big team, even though like Daniel runs the BPT and Mark runs the Toyotas, and there's a bunch of us BFL guys. Well, we got our own trails, but we try to work together for the greater good. And I believe Daniel pretty much just went back and said, all right, look here, boys. Here's what it's going to be for the BFL. I can't say too much, but what do you think about this? So we're going to invite 12 guys. I think what it was originally, it was 12 guys that were going to go to the Toyota Series Championship. And then the highest finisher amongst those was going to be crowned the All-American. And then it was like, well, what about Red Crest? What does it cost us? What does it cost us to send a guy to Red Crest, I mean, that's from a cost of business standpoint, and it's a great carrot. Back in the day, you fished at ABA. Somebody from the ABA went to the Classic, way back in the day. So let's do even better than that. And then, I'm pretty sure that just didn't fly, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't want, if that was my championship, I wouldn't want just dang near as many BFL guys coming into the game.
Boy, I could argue that it's easy for me on the outside looking in. I could argue. Well,
you got to remember, they've got the college fishing championship winner already in it.
Yeah.
They've got the international winner at the Toyota Series already in it. They've got the Toyota Series champion already in it. Now you're looking at throwing at the top 3 from each region. That's 6 per regional at 5. So we're talking a lot of anglers outside of the BPT class. And we all know it. I'm never going to beat Jacob Wheeler in a fishing tournament, but I promise you, 1 out of 100, I might get lucky at a Tuesday night and just land on the honey hole.
Okay, so explain it real quick. So you fish all the BFLs and you have regional.
Yeah.
And there's how many regionals?
5.
Okay, so of those 5 regionals, if you win, then what happens?
Okay. You get my mind right here. So 5 one-day qualifiers, the top 30 of the Cowboy division will go to the regional championship. Again, top 30 in winners. Mm-hmm. And then the winner of the regional championship, the winning team or winning solo, will advance 1 angler to the Red Crest, and his partner will go to the Toyota Series Championship. That's what it ended up nailing down to be.
Oh, so there are 5 guys going?
There's 5 guys going to Red Crest and 5 guys going to Toyota. Yes.
Oh, so there is a bunch. Oh,
there is. And that's
I thought there was one.
Now. That's before it was first, second, and third.
When I tell people, I don't lie. I did not read this very well. Okay, this is good though. I said, okay, I thought there was like, I didn't really pay attention to it. I was like, okay, there's a regional, and then
that's why you got me. You knew I was coming on, and we were going to bring it.
I didn't. This was way better. So okay, I just kind of got to the end part where I saw 1 guy going here and 1 guy going to the Toyota, and then I was going, if it was me and Russell, I'm like, well, how's me and Russell going to like decide who goes where?
There's a reason. I can tell you who's going to
Yeah,
decide for you. So, because this has come up, like, how do we know? You know, basically how we're going to have to do it. And again, a lot of it's still a work in progress. We got the format out there.
yeah.
But the details, as far as the rules brochure, nailing down the schedule, we are actively working on that. So things are subject to change. So with everything that I'm saying on what possibly could happen is still obviously tentative. So don't hang me if there's changes down the road to anybody watching.
I won't, but I can't promise all these other people.
Well, where were we even going with that?
It was why who gets to decide
Oh,
on.
yes. So your entries basically for our end to help keep us sane, we'll have a boat captain and a partner, right? And so basically, the captain is the person like our point of contact for that team, basically.
Yeah, I get all that. That doesn't help me in Russell.
It does not, but
You
somebody's going to
know,
have to enter as the captain, and that's the person going to Redcrest.
yeah. No, I get that part of it. I just and I mean, I guess that's just a conversation you got to have, you know.
Yeah. Now, I've never met Russell, but like I was talking with my boy Marcus Sikora the other day. You know, his right hand man is Bill Davenport. You know, and they've run like you and Russell
Right.
hard. But Bill's an older gentleman. I think he's in his 80s. You know, he's a the legend. You know, at Lake of the Ozarks and them areas. But he has zero desire to do any postseason. So if they win their regional, which they're excited to jump in this, Bill doesn't want no part of any of them.
Man. And I will say this, because some people brought this up, and so we were fishing the other day. I was telling you about it before we got on, and we went to a heavily scoped lake, and we went there for a couple of days and just crushed on fishing whatever, and we didn't catch any of these 10-pounders or whatever, but I mean, it was also, we were the only boat. How about this? It's one of the top lakes in the entire country, and we were the only boat on it for 2 days. Never saw another boat at the boat ramp because it's 100 and some degrees and whatever. And we're crushing. We're like just having a blast. We had a blast down there. We might start doing this every year. I don't know. But anyways, we went scoping a little bit, and it was blowing and stuff. And I was like, "Do you even want to do this?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, we were having way more fun." And I was like, I could have gone out there by myself and scoped. But this is one of my buddies and one of my best friends, Brent, who I used to fish tournaments with for like 10 or 12 years, right? Man, when we get together, we do fun stuff. Like, dude, we could go catch 6-pounders on a wacky worm or 3-pounders on a topwater. We're catching 3-pounders.
Keep it on the top all day, every day.
And so we're like, let's just keep doing what we're doing because we're crushing on fish and we're having a blast. Scoping with 2 people is never fun for us. I don't know if scopers feel that same way, like guys that grew up scoping and just because I've seen guys scoping where like guys aren't even both in the front of the boat. Like it's not as much fun. It can't be as much fun for the other guy watching if he knows everything that what you're doing as well. So I wonder if a lot of those scopers are going to get in that thing individual.
I think we're gonna be surprised to see how many solos there are.
Yeah.
A lot.
I think there might be
at the price point, like you talked about, the $500. You know,
and most of those good scopers are fishing Toyotas and things like they don't like.
There's people that
they're making $2,000 a weekend on Thursday nighters because they're blowing everyone out. They're like, yeah, I'll just I'll fish one Thursday nighter and pay for my entire like entry fees for the year.
This is so good, and again, I don't mean to like pat our own backs, but in my opinion, I've had 4, and I won't say their names, not even mentioned close to who they are. I've had 4 Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit pros that tell me there's a good chance they're unfortunately not going to continue with the Tackle Warehouse so they can compete in this.
Because it's a lot less traveling. It's going to be all division, like all that stuff matters.
I mean, I want to push our pro circuit, obviously, right? So I don't mean to take anything away from pro circuit anglers that want to travel and that, but you know, Jamie Rampy broke the mold, and you did too. You guys got away, you know, from the travel. and you realized that you can fish somewhat local stuff at y'all's ability and skill level and probably make more money in the long run sleeping in your own bed.
Well, and I always realize like Zach Burge is on this like phenomenal run right now.
Yeah.
Right. And I always said, they were like, oh, you make a lot of money. I'm like, I can't do what Zach does though. I can't have a year like Zach. I never like, it's impossible. Like,
I don't know if anybody else can now.
right. It's impossible. Even like it's impossible to make that kind of money doing what I'm doing. However, like I never lose money. So back, this isn't good for y'all or this, man, I don't really care. It's for fishing.
We're talking. Yep. Fishing.
I used to go out there and look at just straight up angler of the year stats for people. And then so for the angler of the year, and then I look over at winnings. And I would go, this guy finished 7th out of 170 guys in angler of the year. Like killed it.
Yeah.
Phenomenal year, 7th place. And he won $76,000. And you're like, 76,000 is good. I'm like, well, okay, 5,000 times 6. And okay, so minimum 30 grand for entry fee. Now he's down to 46.
Yeah, what do you make?
Okay. I mean, I'm like, we're going to go of a grand or two, a grand, minimum a grand, but like say maybe even more, maybe 1,500 at the least. And I'm like, so another 6 grand. And I'm like, now he's on to 35,000. I'm like, so without just a little bit of travel in this, I'm like, he's 7th in the of everyone in the country.
Top 10. Strong.
And he makes less than someone who works 40 hours a week at McDonald's. And I was going, and that's without buying all this other stuff. And I was going, everyone's going to be like, well, he's got sponsors. And I'm like, yes, but like, that's how I look at fishing. I was going, man, so he's worried more about a sponsor than he is about how he makes money in a tournament. And I said, but his job is to fish tournaments. I said, that's never made sense to me. And I'm like, sponsors, like I worry about sponsors, but not for the money. I worry about doing my job for them.
Sure.
But I'm not sitting there going, I hope I have sponsors so I can fish next year. I wanted to be able to fish and make money. And the sponsors and everything were add-ons and good things and all this other stuff. And I don't look at like, because I think all these fishermen I think sponsors and fishermen, and I say this out loud, sponsors might get mad and fishermen might get mad. But I'm like, y'all still think that putting something on someone's jersey and all that stuff matters. And I'm like, none of that matters. Like, I don't think any of that matters. I think there's a whole other side to it that I don't think people realize. But anyways, once again, I just looked at it that way and I was going, the travel and all that stuff is what eats you up, the time, all these things. And I'm like, I wanted to make money in tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I watched another podcast a while back, and it was an Elite Series pro. I don't want to promote another podcast out here, but it's an Elite Series guy. And,
I don't have a podcast. This is me and you, Ty. I like
it. I like it, man. I've always told you it's my favorite anyway. So,
yeah.
Anyways, I'm watching it, and and they pretty much said that they know if they can cut a check on the Elite Series, that's just icing on the cake. They make their money in the winter doing seminars, shows, classics, expos, things of that nature. And that when it comes to tournament season, cutting checks was just icing on the cake. They've already made their money working in the off season. I mean, do you believe any of that?
So I believe in the fact that, to me, yes, I believe it. But in reality, that's the big, say you worked for a company, right? And in your company, you call yourself whatever you call, like whatever. And you work all these hours, and when you get away from that is where you make your money. But your actual job of what you think you do, like I catch fish for a living, and I put up money to go make money, and I don't make money doing it that way. And then I say, well, it's because I sponsor this and all that. To me, it's such a flawed way of looking at things. And yet it's just, there's so many things in the fishing industry that are flawed, kind of like the sponsors and getting free things. Like if I can just get free things from people, I'm doing okay. And I'll put jersey, like our industry is so weird. And it's just, everyone just is like agrees to it.
Yeah.
Right. Like they just agree to like, well, yeah, but all the fishermen don't make money. So like, that's just how we do it. And I'm like, well, no, that's not true. Like I make money fishing tournaments. Like that's what you should be, the goal. It shouldn't be like, I'll put it to you this way. And then a lot of guys still don't understand this. I'm going to go fish a tournament and I'm trying to get my entry fees paid for.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the top fishermen don't look at it that way. They're like, they don't care about their entry fees. They're like, well, I got some guy to pay me $30,000 for entry fees. I'm like, no, you got someone to pay you $30,000. Maybe it's for your truck. They're like, no, it's for entry fees. I'm like, no. Ishman Rowe talks about it all the time. Someone's giving you $30,000 and you are now taking $30,000 and gambling that $30,000 on that. And they'll still argue with you. No, they're only giving it to you to fish that tournament. I'm like, well, see, I blame this guy giving you $30,000 and you, that y'all are still looking at it the wrong way. And they still don't understand it. I'm like, what if that guy, instead of giving you 30,000 for entry fees, and I could promote his business better than you, and he gives me 30,000, and I don't fish any of those tournaments, and I do something else with it, and sell more and do more for his company than you ever did by just randomly showing up to some events, never making a check, and saying I'm a professional fisherman, because that goes on a lot. And there's probably some guy going, I give that guy $30,000. I'm like,
for what? Where's your ROI?
For what? And then the other guy's like, well, I'm a professional fisherman. I got 30,000. No, you gave away $30,000 of money that was given to you on entry fees. You're still spending your own 30,000. You just don't look at it that way. There will be people in the comments that will listen to what I just said and argue that. And then there will be other people that are probably very successful in business and go, he's 100% right.
That's right.
And I'm not saying I'm successful, but like Ish Monroe, like when he says that, and I've always thought this too, like he's trying to get you to think of it in a different aspect, in a different way. And I think all that matters when we talk about, I'll put this in full circle with BFLs. When you do all this, I know y'all have people thinking like that. And so y'all look at it too, like we're going to make this $500 because of this cost here and this cost here, and we're going to get guys fishing solo that $500 to them is nothing because they're paying money for a Toyota for $1,800, and that's what you're trying to figure out. When I want to let people know that like y'all aren't just throwing random stuff out there hoping it sticks on the wall.
No.
Well, I know, but I think a lot of people think that.
They do, because they text it to me. You know, like, who makes up these things? Y'all come up with the dumbest stuff, or you ruined it again. You don't think that we have a group of people like myself, and way smarter than people than me, and bean counters and everything else, that's been in this industry over 20 years. I've been around 18. So I'm not just making stuff up. This is from experience, and we all have experience. We live it and bleed it. But you think we're just, like you said, throwing it to the wall? Well, let's see that this year. No, we sit back there. We, on this particular program coming out in 2027, I'd say we started the directors and Dave Washburn about 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Privately, quietly, literally shut both in and out door to the tournament director's room. We got like a big, like, Oval Office type deal. We all have our little small offices, all of it, but there's a great room. And every Monday we'd sit in this great room, and we started this about 4 months ago. And I was very proud to see that everybody was so tight-lipped. We did not want this out. Then, of course, our boy Slick, busted it out after ICAST. But nonetheless, we worked, and we sat back there and argued. I mean, literally argued with each other, on what would work, what our opinions are, because we're human. What I may think works, Robert may not. or he's looking at it in a different region of the country where I'm thinking in my head where I'm selfishly going next year, and so we just, it's trial and error, yes, but at the same time we've got facts, we've got receipts, we've got history, we've got knowledge, we've got experience, and we put all that together, and then you throw in one of the great people like Chris Hoover that's been there for 30 years, that sits right next to me in those meetings, and he's as smart as they come, and we come up with these great ideas, and then we try to poke holes in them, and that's all we got to do.
Yeah.
If I can poke a hole in it, 200 people can as well.
Yeah.
So that's with this program, we wanted to hang as much positivity out there that there was no way you could poke a hole in it.
So we had, I got two things I want to bring up with you. I'll do this one. This will be a quick one. We started that. I started that platinum. When I say I started it, I got the ball rolling for someone to start the platinum trail that was like 7-8 years ago. And it was I don't remember if it was $1,000 or $1,500, $1,700. I was trying to make it like the Toyotas, around that number, $1,500.
Yeah.
Entry fee. Maybe it was 2,000. It would never got to 2,000, somewhere around that number for a team trail, highest team trail, pay out, do all this stuff. And it worked for a year. And then we did another one a couple years later. Some guys picked it up and they did it for a year. And then it kind of made to the Brandon Belt, where Brandon Belt did it. And someone put it on there like, well, what happened to all those three? Why did they all fail? Well, they didn't fail because what everyone thinks. But the first one failed because I went through every single thing, like you said. And I told them about these weird little rules and things to put in the process of paying. It wasn't the tournament. It was like deposits and we had a limited amount of people, 100. And there was this system in place, and I explained it. We all did. And it was important. And I'm like, if you miss one of these steps, it's going to blow up. And they missed one of the deposit steps. And so some guys didn't show up to the first one. Well, I'm like, well, you just keep their deposit. But they didn't get other deposits for other people to show up. And so it eventually, that failed it, right? But I told him, I said, man, you have to follow this to a T.
Yeah.
Because I know fishermen. Right. And then the second one came along, and then the Brandon Belt one was successful. But I mean, I tried to warn, I don't want to go too much into this, but I tried to warn Brandon. I'm like, man, what you're doing is going to be the most phenomenal thing in the entire sport. I think he put on the best trail that ever lived for a year. I said, I ate dinner with him one night, and I said, all I do is, like, when you sit in these meetings and everyone's around you, you try to figure out if they're actually trying to get money from you, who's doing this for your trail, and who has something else in mind other than your trail. And I said, because at every meeting, when you have fishermen, if you ever have a board of fishing guys, and I've been on a couple of those boards, I've walked away from a couple of them, and I've told the guy, I said, I'll show up. But I said, the minute you sit, I said, every time an angler opens their mouth, I want you to sit there and go, is this for the trail? Is it for them?
That's right. Are we speaking selfishly, or are we speaking for the greater good of the sport?
Right. So when I get on there and I have a place on Rayburn, and I have a lake on, and I've won more tournaments on Rayburn than anywhere in the country, and they ask me, what do you think about Rayburn? I don't care if you go there. How about let's not go there? And here's why we won't go there. And this and that. And I tell them all these things, and I'm like, I will be successful in your trail if the trail exists. But if the trail doesn't exist, then I have nothing to fish. So I care more about the trail existing and being good than I do about my own thing, because I've fished my entire life that I'm like, I could do horrible at every event, but I don't have that opportunity if it doesn't exist. So I'd rather a trail exist than I get lucky and have it all for me for 1 year, and then it's not there the next year.
Yeah, and I think, I know I have them, and I'm 99.9% sure that every director in an MLF, I can't speak for others, but at MLF, I know Mark for sure. We all do. But I have a Mick Wallace texting me as we speak. I have a handful of anglers that I could call, that I will call, that I do call, that I know I don't have to worry about them giving me their opinion selfishly. They truly want, as you want, bigger tournaments equal bigger payouts, which gives bigger opportunities.
Yes.
Right. And that's what we all want. And I've got a small handful of people. And that's why, I'll be honest with you, I reached out to you like a month ago. Let's start this a little bit. Let me just talk to Todd. I'm not going to throw him too much, but because I trust Todd's opinion on his thoughts, whether he likes what we're going to do or not. He's going to tell me that
Yeah.
this is wrong, bro. You're going to die,
No.
or we're going to have to wait this out.
I like to
or
poke
you
holes.
did it. Right. But I need to know where I get so much constructive criticism from the anglers. I got my handful of people that ain't afraid to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
They're going to tell me, yeah, you've been working hard on this, but it sucks, bro.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of the one guy going here, and now I realize it's 5. You said opportunities. I still want to bring up maybe we end on this last one because, man, maybe people won't listen because but they should. The All-American is not what it used to be, right?
No, right. We talked about
you
that.
You got 5 guys. Look, 5 guys that have never been to a Toyota championship might start fishing Toyotas after they go to the championship.
Yeah.
You got 5 guys that will never probably in their life have a chance at ever going to a Red Crest and fishing for that much money. And I got to fish the Forest Wood Cup twice. So I fished 2 years on the tour, made the Forest Wood Cup both times. Dude, I was out there just I still got pictures of I guess I forgot my kids came out on stage and Chris is right next to me. And Chris is hollering and yelling. My kids are like, and it's just bright light. And it
the
was
lights, the stage.
It was cool. And it was free. And I was just out there just, hey man, did I like catch them or not catch them? It was all really cool stuff. And so there's 5 guys, I promise you. And I made the All-American. I finished 4th in the All-American when I went there. All-American was fun, and I had a good time and all that stuff. I would take the Red Crest Classic. There's no comparison that is way a bigger deal than the All-American.
I agree. 100%.
So the opportunity right there is giant for a guy with no qualifications. He's not putting up to get it. 90% of the guys that fish the Red Crest, other than the Toyota Championship guy, has to enter 3 events at $1,800 a piece.
Right.
There's one college angler that gets to go.
Right.
You were putting up
Earth.
Huh?
Yeah, in the whole country.
The whole country. I assume I'm guessing there's probably going to be 4 to 5 qualifying events. Team to make the regional. It's $2,000. Okay, 5. So $2,500. So you're putting up $1,700 just for a team deal. And maybe you have to maybe pay for the regional.
Nope.
So you're putting up $1,700 and have to do good, but you have a chance to go to the Red Crest.
That's right. Now check this out. To elaborate on that.
Huh? How much of the BPT guys, after having to qualify through the pro circuit at 30,000, then they have to pay 55? How much they have to pay a tournament?
Don't get me in that.
Right? So don't tell me about opportunities that there's not, and not one guy, 5 guys. Now that's pretty incredible.
And I'll break your financial part down because I just put it on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I was driving down the road the other day, and I see how it is. I follow you. You just don't follow me. But anyways, I mean, that's who the stars are. That's why I follow.
No, I just don't get on Facebook.
I know, and I'm the old guy that don't do the other ones.
I don't follow. You know how many YouTube
following? You're a hater.
That's not that I do so much on it that I don't.
I hear you.
Have time to I don't want to follow.
So let me break this down. In 2026, I'm a boater. This year, I pay $200 for 4 one-day qualifiers. So 2, 4, 6, 8, right? $800 for 4 one-day qualifiers. Then I have to fish the Super, which is $300.
Yeah.
So now we're at 2, 4, 6, 8, $1,100. Then I have to pay for my regional championship, which is $300. So now we're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 11, $1,400. And that would have punched my ticket to the All-American. had I won. Fast forward to 2027. I'm a boater, you're a boater, or whatever. We're partnering up.
Yeah.
Right. So now my half is 250 for 5 one-day tournaments. 250, 500, 750, 1,000, 1,250. A free regional championship, still 1,250 versus 1,400 in 2026. And in 2027, the carrots and the payouts
Are bigger.
are way bigger.
Yeah. Like this is a no-brainer.
Cheaper. It's cheaper to fish in 2027 than it will be in 2026
I know.
with a way better program.
So here's the last thing I want to bring up because I don't know, we probably could have brought this up first.
Yeah, we got off there for a while.
You ready for
We
this?
went out there.
Co-anglers.
Yeah, okay. It's a tough road, man, and it's
have okay.
You don't like. I mean, if you've watched any of your programs, any of your videos, you've made good friends as co-anglers, but you are anti-co-angler in the back of your boat.
I'm okay. I don't want to go anti-co-angler. Look, I fished with a lot of co-anglers. I'm not anti-co-angler. Don't care. Right. I didn't like it I didn't think it was right on the tour. And they got rid of him the next year. I didn't think, and I didn't like it because there was what I didn't like was this. I didn't like that I was fishing on the tour level professionally, right? And there was some guy in the back of the boat that good and bad was affecting the outcome of an event.
Well said. Yep. They dictated the event.
And I'll put it to you this way. I think there were more boaters back then benefiting from a co-angler catching fish, helping them find out what was going on. And I'm like, no, that guy should struggle just because the co-angler figured out what to throw back there and then you switched. There were so many people all think, oh, he's catching your fish. No. They were showing some of these guys how to catch fish.
I always said the no information rule was being broke at every tour event. Because that guy may not tell you anything, but he's showing you either what not to do or what to do.
So, and I will say when I fished the tour, they were when I got there, I was pretty nervous about like dealing with co-anglers. Even though I had dealt with them forever, I was a little bit more lackadaisical on them, but this was for a lot of money. And a lot of the guys were like, hey, these co-anglers are different and they have meetings and they are told they were held to a higher standard on how they fish behind the back of the boat.
Sure.
From my experience with that. And it got less and less as the divisions dropped. And so, and then it also traveled differently across the board. Like when I fish an open, Bassmaster Open co-anglers were way worse than MLF.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Never heard that.
Night and day. The Toyotas were so much more of they were guys that were like used to doing it. And so you got these Bassmaster guys that were like never done, and they just they're going to the Classic as a co-angler on that event. They don't realize they're not, but someone told them that they're going to the Classic if they catch 3 fish.
And if you do well, you're going to get sponsors.
Yeah, so it was just it was always a different mentality. The co-angler thing, though, I got a lot of comments. And I'm going to get killed for this, and I don't care. They're going to disagree with me, and I'm fine with this. The co-angler comments that came back, there was like 3 or 4 or 5 of them. They were all the same. This is the way to get into fishing. I'm a co-angler. I did X, Y, Z to get to here now, and who's ever going to now that thing's gone, and we can't. There's no way to go to the next level, and I'm like. I told him, I'm like, dude, there's probably like 1 or 2. If there's 200 co-anglers in an event, 4 or 5 of them are less than 20 years old. All the way now to get to where look at the elites and BPT. None of them are co-anglers. It's all high school, college. That is the route every young kid is taking. No one in their right mind, even you would never look at a 16-year-old kid and go, hey, what should I fish next year? fish as a coiner in the BFLs, and that's going to make you.
It's your
No,
stepping
you're like,
stone.
dude, high school, college,
Yeah.
they are trying to get you to the next level. Like they're doing everything they can to help you go that route. So that's not an argument anymore. There's a ton of guys that are 50, 60, 70.
Thank
and
you.
I got a
That's
solution
where I
for
was
them.
going to go.
You're going to look them that are co-angler and do all this. Okay. And they don't have a way to fish these anymore. Okay. Here's what I would tell you. One, there are tons and tons of people out there that want to fish tournaments. If you're a co-angler and one of these guys and you have, I don't want to say like, I know times are tough and all this stuff. There's two ways. I'm going to talk to the guys with a little bit of money that are older. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, go up to someone you know and be like, hey, man, I've seen these. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to fish these. I might not be as much of a help as you are. I don't care about going to the Red Crest. I want to fish tournaments. I'll pay the entry fees.
Yeah. Have you not seen these posts?
No.
They are by the hundreds.
Okay, good.
They're
So,
out there. Like, I will pay the entry fees. I will front the gas. I just need a partner. You're paying the insurance, the travel, the truck, and the boat payment. I'll cover everything else. The one guy even said, all I ask for is 70-30 split on the payouts. I'll
wow,
take the
that's
30,
even.
you take the 70. I want a $500 bonus if we make the regional. You know what I mean? They've got these. There's people out there really
Wow.
creative.
Okay, good, good.
It is phenomenal.
Okay,
Now,
good.
Now, here's another way to look at it from the co-anglers aspect. Most of these college and high school kids, let's go college kids. College already have team partners, but some of them may not. You know, and I'm going to use a good buddy of mine. He's a very good buddy of mine, and I don't know if he'd be mad if I said his name or not, but I'm going to. My buddy Dan Moorhead, really good friend of mine there on Kentucky Lake.
I know Dan.
In my opinion, legend, one of my heroes.
He won. He won the first Toyota championship I ever made on Kentucky Lake.
With an A-rig.
He won it. Yeah. I made a top 10 in that event.
I remember the A-rig folks even coming down to Paris and bootlegging them things. We were making them out of coat hangers.
I was the only one. I was one of two guys, I think, in the entire top 10 that did not throw an A-rig in that event.
Dang.
Everyone else was throwing A-rigs.
Well, you would have won it had you had.
Maybe so.
But anyways, like Dan, let's just use our home pond of Kentucky Lake where me and Dan live. And Dan has made a living, you know, one of the Kentucky Lake Kings. He, like you said, he just won a Twitter Series championship back in the day on Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Dan will tell you, he's not a technology guy. But if Dan would reach out to Murray State, to them kids, you got Dan's knowledge of whenever they're not going to be biting the greatest offshore, and waypoints and knowledge of the lakes and the history. And then you bring in a college kid as his partner. Stop thinking about this as partners. Think about this as a business proposition. So some of these co-anglers need to look at like a business proposition where like some of the older guys that don't think they can compete, look at it as a business prop. Go get you a college angler that's really good with his technology and make that guy your partner.
Because let me tell you something. I would never have done that. So when I was younger, guys like, I'm not gonna say any of their names, but I would get approached, phone calls out of the blue, said, "Hey, I got all this." They wanted to fish Rayburn in these places, and I was struggling, right? I mean, I was young, whatever, and they're like, I'll pay for everything and all this stuff. And I said every one of them no.
Huh.
I told everyone of them no. But it was a different deal back then because I knew that they were trying to get like spots because it was such a different way of fishing back then, right?
Yeah.
And I was going to give away the juice. I can go anywhere right now and go live scope, like most of the time. And if I brought a guy who didn't really know how to live scope, whatever I did, so if I go to a spot and I just cast a worm on that spot and it's got 25 pounds there, every single person I bring with me can go do that.
Sure.
Those live scopers have to know that, like, man, if they're asking you to do this, they can't go do what you do.
No, you
An
can't
ice
imitate it.
scoper can go out there in front of 20 guys that don't know how to live scope and be like, "Hey, I'm just going to fish right here, guys. Can I squeeze through and go catch them all and show everyone?" And those guys still can't do it. Like a really good. So like the waypoints and the things like that are kind of going away because those live
Oh,
scopers
sure.
do it in front of everyone.
I'm still a buoy guy, by the way. I still kick a
Right.
buoy out.
So before Dan would be scared about giving spots away at Kentucky Lake. Those kids don't care about that.
No.
And so he doesn't have to worry about it. The kid doesn't have to worry about it. And they can team up and like, well, let's just make it happen.
Let's just win money.
Yeah. There's a way to do that. So if coiners are out there, just don't reach out to me. I got me a partner, but but there are some guys and a lot of them are young and might be like, well, you know what? I don't really want to pay 500. I could pay 500, but if I got someone in the back and the young kids need to listen to this too, if I doubt they're watching, be like, hey man, even if you're not worried about that guy might catch one fish that day.
Yeah.
It helps.
Right.
You. Yeah. One fish. Don't look at him as they're like, so like that guy could be, there's so many different ways, like you said, looking at a business deal and like, hey man, it might suck out there, but you might catch one fish and it might be at the regional that gets y'all to the next level. I mean, there's ways to do it.
You're again, I'm not a scope master by any means. Is it possible? And I'm just asking hypothetically because I really don't know this answer. Could you run two graphs, two forward-facing sonar transducers, one in the front of the boat and one in the back?
Yeah, and Coinger's brought that stuff and did all that stuff. You can. There might be some things about that. You got to realize half the guys we know that are good scopers fish with other good scopers. Like I can start naming them off right now.
Absolutely.
Around Texas. I'll throw them some. Andrew Rickman, Hut Reeves, they'll fish together. Dan Longoria, Austin Mott, they fish together. Cole Moore, we fished with Colby Miller, who's now fishing BPT. So many of those guys, they fish together anyways. I don't know how they do it. I know how me and Russell do it. And we're not anywhere close to them as being as good as scopers as those guys. Good scope, but the practice deal on good scopers help because they can dissect lakes quicker and stuff like that. But I mean, either way, it's not gonna. A lot of times, those good team scopers, one guy can do it all. So I mean,
I agree. That's why I think we'll see a lot of solos.
So you can do it by yourself. But man, if you had a guy going, hey, I'll pay for everything and all that stuff, I'll sit in the back of the boat, and because all that junk about like the wide openness of catching them, that's not scoping has kind of done all these different things that started off here. And I remember when it first started off, and I remember Bradley Hallman, he was like, man, this scoping thing, he's like, if it catches you one more fish a day. That's how early on it was. I'll never forget, we were at Cumberland. We were at not Cumberland, there in Tennessee. What lake was that? Cherokee. Okay. We're at Cherokee, and he goes, man, it helped me catch a fish every day. One time, and I was like, oh my gosh, man, because back then an extra 2 or 3 pounder. We used to do the math on that. An extra 2 or 3 pounder over the course of a year like moves you up 30 spots. Yeah, and I'm like, this is a big deal to have this thing. Now it's like, but it went from scoping this way to like out there in the middle of the lake to now it's kind of evolved back to like a lot more. I wouldn't say regular fishing, but it's not always so far out in the middle of the lake.
You're not chasing one fish in the middle of the lake every time.
Yeah, that's not happening as much as what people think. It does happen. I think it happens for a lot of guys. See, what happens is there's a lot of guys that think that might be the way to do it. And so it puts a lot of people out there because there's a lot of fish out there. And then Coiners got mad because that's what was happening. But they weren't winning. A lot of times the guys that were actually winning scoping weren't doing that. But anyways, all I'm saying is that like most of the time when I'm scoping, a lot of us, dude, you're right there.
Yeah.
Like you can fish almost the exact same way you've always fished. So they're going to catch fish. So I mean, I think there's a lot of guys just have to be adapt as well. Figure out this new team format and go on with it. You
Yeah.
got enough guys out there that want to fish.
It's broke my heart on seeing and reading some of the social media posts from co-anglers. Because obviously we want the best for everyone. We know that the war between boaters and co-anglers, we can't win anymore. We tried. We tried to put a band-aid on a bleeding wound that was dying. We tried. We tried everything we could. But it kills me emotionally to see guys that have fished. I saw one this morning. He fished 177 tournaments as a co-angler. Now, was that what the program was originally designed for? A resident co-angler? No, but I can't thank that guy for all the years
Yeah,
of spending his weekends
but
with me.
he
You know
can
what I
still
mean?
he can still fish this thing.
That's what I try to tell him. That's where I was going.
He had
I can tell you he's been
177 chances to meet someone, and
well, and
let
in
me
the
tell you
last
something.
5 years, we've got Perry's text messages, right? So if he goes to our Perry's text, he's got 75 boaters that he's fished with in the last 3 years on his cell phone. Start
And
calling.
if none of them want to fish with them,
Yeah. Nice look. Yeah, is it the boaters problem?
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So like,
Yeah.
listen, I have there are some co-anglers. So, dude, I got to be in the boat with Keith Honeycutt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Uh,
awesome.
thank you. I'll take Keith. I'll take Keith. I mean, I can just my buddy from me and him are real good friends from Arkansas. Stephen, me and Stephen are still good friends. He's won like 4 co-angler deals. I mean, David Bozart fishes with Russell all the time, and he practices with us. He just won the Toyota Championship last
Yeah.
year. So like I could go on and on about some of these co-anglers that you're like, man, take that guy in the boat. That guy's never got. There were some co-anglers that I practiced. Gilbert was one of them. I would have to go back there and practice and be like, dude, I cut all your hooks off, dude. I'm tired of like freaking smoking on them,
Yeah.
And
Some of them are
so,
legit.
yeah, because they always got bit. There's a ton of those guys out there that most people would be that. I bring this up because like, how much did y'all talk about doing the whole one bass deal or whatever the U.S. whatever it is where it's like
The
combined?
shared weight. The
Yeah,
shared weight. We have been
did y'all talk
talking
about it?
about the shared weight program or random draw like One Bass does out west. You got to remember, I was the Western Tournament Director the last 3 years we were out there. So I had those guys punching me in the face all the time for it. So, of course, I would bring it back to this side of the country. Not only was I the Western Tournament Director, I was the Walleye Tour Director. The last 2 years we had walleye. And all of
Okay.
our walleye trails were random draw, shared weight, multiple days. So I'm very familiar with the programs because I've ran a ton of tournaments for it. But we had talked and talked for 2 years. So in fact, I went to Facebook, I hate to say it, but the BFL page, and I made a post April 13th, 2024. What would you guys think about going to a shared weight program? A random draw, team event. You don't know who your co-angler is. We run the pairings, and you'll fish with a shared weight at the end of the day. 493 comments in a day. And I'm going to say 400 of them were an emphatically hard no.
Yep.
No, thank you.
No.
Either they were boaters, because I just found it the other day. I found the post and I reshared it for all you people saying, well, they should have tried a shared weight program first. I asked y'all a year and a half ago, would you like to go this way? And boaters are saying, I don't want my day dictated by a random stranger in a team event. I might get drawn Alan Bernicki this weekend, and we are going to stomp a mud hole in everybody else that Todd drew the guy that just wanted to fish one event of a bucket list, and he's learning. You're handicapped now because of the guy you
Yeah.
drew. I can sit back and just probably watch Alan Bernicki or Tommy Pritchard or Mike Mueller go to town in the back of the boat, and we might still be successful. And I never got a cast even because I'm going to win dictating off of my co-angler partner. So that was a hard no. And then as I'm reading the comments the other day, I can't tell you how many 50, 75, 100 co-anglers said they didn't want it.
The co-anglers, let me tell you something. The co-anglers should be way more emphatic about saying no.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how many there was when I went back and reread this.
Because if I was a co-angler, I'd be like, heck no. I know most of those guys.
They're not as good as they act to be, huh?
They aren't as good as what you think. And
Yeah.
and so now as a co-angler with very little control, I had too many co-anglers that were like, that went fishing with guys. So they practice with me, and then they go fishing the tournament, and they're like, I'm like, what, like Todd? And everyone horrible. It was all that we did this. So imagine drawing this guy that you know it's not the way to go do good.
Yeah.
But if you're only fishing as a co-angler against other co-anglers, you're like, I don't have to beat everyone in the field. I just have to beat other co-anglers. So I just have to do good on my own, right? But half them co-anglers are like, this guy's going to be horrible. Like we're in the wrong place. We're doing the dumbest thing. So I would, as a co-angler, be way more, at least with me, I would be more open to it than I think a co-angler, because at least it's all still dictated on what I do. So I don't even look at it as like, I don't even need my co-angler to help me. If he helps me, great. If not, but as a co-angler,
I'm going to treat this like a solo tournament. And if he picks up a kicker by accident in the back, great.
So Andrew Upshaw fishes that. So you should know it. What tournament trail does this?
It's the U.S. Open.
How many tournaments is it?
Well, that is a one-off event
that's
but they do have a series, but
correct.
It's not as successful.
Andrew said it's one of the most fun events he ever fishes. And I said, yeah.
Evan Barnes just talked to him, said the same thing.
You fish once.
Right.
If you know you're going into that event to do it one time.
Yeah, it's a blast. You treat it that way.
But over time, if you kept doing it and you had bad co-anglers and bad experiences, and the co-angler had bad experiences, that's what it's going to turn into. You're okay with a one-off deal. But I think as a series goes on, the bad's going to weigh out the good.
And I can give you one step further why it's so successful out there. And this is just from experience of being out there.
I would fish it. I would do it knowing that going into it for a one-time deal. And once a year, it would be like that kind of cool thing.
The fishing on the West Coast is so different too than the fishing over here. And I'm going to say over here, I'm saying from Oklahoma to South Carolina, right? If you fish competitively in the West, it's because you're freaking good. I'm going to be honest with you, because you have so much more sacrifice. The lakes are so spread out far apart. You're not just chopping up $3,000 to drive 12 hours to go hit Shasta, and then 2 weeks later drive another 12 hours south to go hit Havasu or Meade.
But you know what I mean? There's some weird expenses over there too. Like they talked to, I don't want to get into them. I don't know them all, but they're like talking about some weird.
Oh, you got permits with the invasive species cleanouts and all that. Oh, it's ridiculous.
All the California stuff.
Yes. So not only are the pros, but the co-anglers are legit, because they're just not people that just show up to the ramp because, it's fun. I live in Hot Springs. I'm going to fish Ouachita and Hamilton every year just because. No, these dudes have invested time and they learn. So that one bass works really well, because not only are the co-anglers getting a great draw on the pro side, now especially now like Spencer Sheffields and the Upshaws and the Evan Barnes.
It's big pros going out there too.
That's right.
Right.
And then the co-anglers that show up are legit anglers, because this is what they do. They just don't own boats out in California because gas is $8 a gallon. So they've got a great field of co-anglers and pros. That's not going to work in Alabama.
It's just not.
I'm going to get the, no disrespect, like my dad's 72. I'm going to end up getting drawn with my 72-year-old dad as a co-angler. Bless his heart, he can still fish, but he's not going to be as competitive as you getting drawn the 22-year-old kid that's like, yeah.
So go get the 22-year-old kid now. That's what I'm saying. This co-angler should be able to like and put an incentive on it. Put an incentive on trying something out like that. Like if it's an older guy, that's what I would do. If I was a 50-year-old, 60-year-old guy,
me,
that was a co-angler and been like, all right, how do I reach out to one of these guys, find a college kid and be like, I'll pay for all this stuff.
I'm
And
going
you
to
might be
the
like,
Murray
well,
State
then don't
Open on
fish. But
Kentucky
you,
Lake. I'm
yeah,
going
you
to
can
weigh in,
do it.
and I'm gonna wear my Patch Pirate shirt, and I'm gonna go shake hands with every successful college angler that day and see if anybody would love to jump in my boat, or I'll jump in their boat because it's a business. We're here to
Yeah.
make money. I ain't afraid of that.
If people look at it that way and do it that way and don't try to get, man, that's pretty cool that they were coming up with like, hey, I only want this much 70. Man, you start going that route
Yeah,
and
they're out there. There's a lot of them making those
yeah,
moves.
there's a lot of them because like it's, I don't know, the team stuff deal. I've always had really good fishing partners and like it's always been pretty easy for me. I could go like right now I go ask 5 guys,
Sure.
but I mean,
And a
uh,
lot of people are that way. Let's be honest. We've all got buddies that are competitive, that are up there in the ability that I feel that I'm at. We've all, but there are a lot of guys out there that they're on the fence of going solo or maybe partner, but I really don't have a partner, and they're out there. So I'm hoping some of these co-anglers get in the game.
and a lot of them, like, I always used to get mad at co-anglers because they did have boats a lot of times and they wanted to go on Rayburn and like, I'm just telling you, they went just back over my stuff. The scoping thing will be different, but I mean, a lot of the guys that don't have boats, this should be easy for them. They should do it in a heartbeat and be like, dude, I'll pay for
Yeah, yeah,
it.
cover
And
the
some of the,
entry.
I think some of the co-anglers might just have to pony up and just start fishing as a boater, as a team event,
Mm-hmm.
because they have a lot of those co-anglers have boats.
I was just going to say that
A
we
lot of them.
know, let's say 60% have a boat. It
You
may
think so?
not be,
I know.
a 21-foot Triton that's 3 years old, you know, but it's a 88, hydrocraft or whatever, Astroglass that with a 150 on it. But you know what? You still get the boat. Don't catch the fish, man. You're in the game.
Don't y'all have a Facebook page
Yes.
dedicated? Why
Yeah,
don't
that's what I
you
was saying. That BFL link finding page.
would you start another one that said a BFL team?
This one is going to turn into that. Now, I
Okay.
don't have anything to do with it anymore. I got
No,
all
but
that
I'm
money
just
years
saying,
ago.
like,
Yes, that one has already transitioned. Jeff Steenbergen, who lives in Oklahoma, he's the one that actually owns the page, and there's over 30,000 anglers on it.
yeah, yeah.
It's already transitioned from linking
Okay.
to find a partner page.
Hmm.
It's there. There's already right now. I
Okay.
can go on there and see 150 co-anglers requesting a partner, and with everyone's got their own different spiel. It's hilarious. Some of them come up with great, hilarious ones. Like I make great sandwiches. I'll bring the snacks. It's fantastic. I'll wash the boat when we're done. Whatever. It's great. And some of them are comical. Some of them are in a joking manner, but some of them are serious. And I
Well, I mean, like
pray.
I said, I've never had an issue with finding a partner, but I will say, like, there are tons of guys that I would invite back in my co-anglers up, tons of them
Yeah.
that are great, like, pleasure to fish with them, like I said, I'm one of those guys I've just never had it, or I would fish solo. But man, there were so many guys that would go out there and just and do it the other way. Like this shouldn't be hard to fill up if people really like. They either don't want to put in a little bit of effort to find someone, or like just go try it out. Just
No,
tell
that's
a
why
guy
at the
like, hey, how
beginning
about
of
we
this.
fish the first one and see how it goes?
Yeah, that's why I said at the beginning of this, I think it's going to be surprisingly more successful than people think.
Yeah,
Because if me and you win as a team, that's one boat. It's $500. I don't care if there's two guys in it or one guy in it. But the day that you say, you know what, next year, man, I had a great time with you, I'm going solo next year. Well, me too. Now I got two boats with the same amount of anglers. I just doubled my participation by the solo guys. And I think more people are going to be solo in this than we think.
I could see that.
Yeah, because of the high entry with high payout. It's not even high entry, but you know what I mean? Big risk, big reward.
Yeah,
Now, I will
it's
throw
not.
a carrot here that we don't know the answer to. So let's say, Todd, you jump in this. Bill's like, I'm done being your partner, but I know you want to fish these. So you're going to go solo. And again, we don't know the answer to this, but this is just fun talking. This is what we do in our office. If I win, if I make it to the regional solo and I win the regional, close this out. Now, do I get to go to Red Crest and Toyota? Because I did it as a solo?
Yeah.
I don't know yet. We're in discussions.
I like
But it's
that.
interesting. Should be, but
Could be. I mean,
we'll see.
I always go based off of what pops in my head first.
Yeah, I was like you. I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, why
They're
not?
saying five's going.
What are we gonna do? Take second place guy? Like, no.
Right. It would be a valid or a blank entry. Like nobody's gonna go. So now it's not 5 and 5. You know.
He had 5 solo scopers in there all.
That's what I'm saying. You know what's coming? Like Clint Knight. He lives here on Kentucky Lake. He fishes. He finished top 10 in the point standings for the pro circuit, just right outside to make the BPT. If he chooses to back down from the pro circuit, he's all in on this. And I promise you, he wins every single tournament here on Kentucky Lake. So let's say he takes his technology, goes solo, fishes a division that the regional is on Kentucky Lake. He's going to come here and roll up in that thing single, and I promise you, he's a handful. He don't lose.
How close are y'all on schedules?
Real close. I'd say 98%. You know, like I've got literally, I need to book a Truman for the Ozarks division in June. And this, hey, speaking of schedules, this is interesting.
Oh.
I know, carrot or squirrel.
No, I thought you were gonna go. I thought you were gonna go Missouri.
Yeah, I do have Ozarks next year.
No, I know, but I thought you were gonna bring up something else.
Oh no. Oh,
You know,
I will. And
yeah, okay.
I thought we could do that off the air.
Okay.
Because you told me you'd come.
I know. I'm thinking about it.
I got to check with Mark and see if you're even invited.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, I've got Ozarks left to do, and the exciting part is when we first started this process to make this work, where the winner of the regionals go on to the Toyota Series Championship. We know the Toyota Series Championship is typically the first week of November, and the regionals are first, second, and third week of October. Well, not much time between those regionals for those 5 guys to go straight from one to the other. So therefore, we've moved our regionals possibly to September, which typically is super tournament time.
Yeah.
Not no more. I got a 1-day final tournament in May. It's just whenever the fishing is right, the best schedule possible.
Yeah.
So why wait until September?
Yeah.
When everybody wants to fish in the spring, if I can roll all 5 up in the spring, when fishing's fun and exciting and everybody's still going and not burned out, why not?
See, and I will say to me, like I get down there and I always got mad because like I used to want tournaments, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
And so it has fresh. I think it's a fish care thing.
Sure, June, July, August is brutal, bro. That's why we're doing it all.
I know what like, man.
I heard this on your show the other day. Yeah.
I just kind of like.
Come on.
I don't know, man.
Look, in my shoes.
I might not be that old, or maybe I am, but I just came from a long way. Like, dude, we just fished all the time. I just liked fishing all the time. Because I always say, like, I think the biggest problem, I think that has turned into why trails suffer, is that we used to have things that were spread out more, and now everyone wants them in the 3-4 months of the year. True. And then it's like, well, how come no one showed up? I'm like, because there's 6 other tournaments going on within 100 miles. And that's great for most people that like, hey, I don't have to, but in all reality, it still hurts. So, but I don't really care. I mean, I like fall fishing. So like, I also want to go dove hunting. Look, I got a whole bunch of other stuff too. I'll miss all my kids' stuff. It is just what it is. But I don't mind I don't think I have a single tournament in September this year. But I used to have championships. Yeah. I fished a bunch of the BFL super tournaments. They always had, I almost always go to the Toyota. I always yell at Mark. I'm like, would you stop taking away my Lake of the Ozarks in September every other year? And I saw it on the schedule this year. I'm like, thank you. Like, put it back on, because it's since I have nothing going on, it's like I can go to Lake of the Ozarks, and I don't do it for anything, just for fun.
That's in September this year?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you can go there and practice.
Yeah.
for our October Missouri Invitational.
It's in October or November?
It's actually November. It was October. We just moved it back to November. But yeah.
Thank goodness, because I don't think I can make October.
Yeah, you're coming in November. Hey, by the way, speaking of regionals and your past videos, and I think I've been on your we've had this talk live before. You got to stop bringing up the legend money at a regional because I still feel horrible to this day about that.
Why?
Maybe you don't recall. I thought that's why you always kind of throw that. Legend literally came to a regional I was running down in Texas and wanted one of them to come on stage. You'll know here in a minute to present you with a $10,000 check.
Oh,
you remember that?
Yes.
And I was like, it was the president of Legend. I was like, bro,
no, it was Randy Qualls.
I wasn't. Remember at the time, I was a very young tournament director.
Yes.
I'd only been a director for maybe 4 or 5 years. So this would have been 15 years ago.
I was like, they're not going to care.
Yeah. He begged me and begged, come on. You were out fishing. I sat with that guy. I said, let me make some phone calls, because I don't know Todd, but I've heard of Todd and he's great for the sport. He's one of our customers. So of course we want him to be happy, but at the same time, I don't think Ranger's going to be real happy if I let you on this stage right now. And this was back when we just started recording the weigh-ins or something. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. And then of course I had to finally come up with no. And I told him, I said, you can give him the check, but you can do it on the back side of the trailer. I told him he could do it around the back or even inside the trailer if you want to present him. I'm not saying you can't give him this great award, but I just can't let you do it right up here on this stage.
I remember that now. I don't ever bring that. So I didn't care. I was going to get the 10,000 anyway.
I didn't think you'd care, but boy, it put me in a brutal spot.
Yeah, I remember that because so that was the year. So one of those years I won 6.
Wow.
And they weren't as happy to give me the checks as the years went on. I won 3 of them 3 weeks in a row.
No, you were costing them money.
And at first it was like, yay. And I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I got into a little sticky situation a little bit.
Was there not a cap?
There wasn't a cap.
Some contingencies have a cap.
I'll just put it to you this way. And it wasn't Randy, someone else was they started looking for well, why didn't you? Well, what about they started trying to nitpick at something, and I was going, well, you didn't nitpick at the first one or two.
At the first one, you got the exposure.
Yeah, and so I was like, man, I'm, whatever. But no, I mean, I won a bunch one year, and I was just but I do remember that now. Yeah, that you're like, no. And I said, he goes, oh, come on, Todd, say, I'm like, hey, man, I don't want to tell you, but I'm going to go up there and get my check, and then you can give me a check later. And they did. They did whatever.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. Every time you bring up legend money, I'm like, oh, really, bro?
I remember that now.
Yep, that was me years ago. Years ago.
Like I said, it didn't. I wasn't phased one bit because I'm like, what? It's not going to affect me getting my money. I don't care.
No. It just put a whole lot of I was scared to death as a young tournament director. You want to do right by your anglers, but then you're getting muscled by a boat manufacturer.
There's no way you could do it.
Yeah, no.
There's no way you could have done it.
We didn't. But I did make a phone call. I called Daniel, I think.
I knew that too because I was just but see, even back then, think about it. People don't even remember. I remember my first Toyota I ever made a top 10 on. They gave me I don't know if I was filmed, but I wore their jersey.
Yes, you had to be in a sponsor compliant jersey on the final day.
For a Toyota. So I had a Rayovac. I still got a picture of me in a Rayovac. I don't even know if it's a button down. I don't know what it was.
Probably was a button down.
It might have been, but it was this black and white Rayovac. I was the Rayovac.
Yes.
Whatever. And I was just, but it was funny though, back then I was just wearing a t-shirt anyways. I wasn't like I was sponsored by anyone.
Well, I was the Walleye Tour Pro. And on the final day, because that was the big televised day, I had to check them guys out. What company was it? Frable Rain Suits?
Yeah.
And Frable Nets. Before takeoff, they would come to our trailer and we had all these rain suits, and it was basically all it was, this whole trailer of every size of Frable rain suits and Frable nets. And they had to come through, and I would not give them their check at the end of the tournament till they brought their Frable rain suit and net back to the trailer. So it was even more than jerseys on the walleye stuff. They had to even use our nets.
Yes,
Crazy.
I mean, so let me ask you this: All American, y'all still provide the boat?
I'll say that again.
Y'all still provide the boat?
No. We have been done providing boats for the All American for about 5 years.
I bring that up because 2014 is when I made it. Rolled down there. They gave me a Ranger. You know,
Sure, it was beautiful. The boatyard was cool.
Yeah. So not negative or positive about that, but it's like things changed.
Yeah. Well, we called them all and said, hey, listen, because there's always that guy that sits in the boatyard like you did. You know, we have all the beautiful brand new Rangers lined up in a row. It was gorgeous. You know, we had matching trucks, a lot of them because we put you guys in the water. We pulled you guys out. We filled them with oil, food, snacks, gas every single day. Put the lights in. We did all that stuff. And but you always had that guy that was like a hummingbird guy. And now he's in a Lorentz. And he's he's spun out of control. And I don't blame him. You know, he doesn't even know.
It screwed me over.
Yes. It messes you with mentally.
No. So the final day, they had low rents on there, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd used low rents. That wasn't a big deal. But I didn't know at the time how to functionally go through the low rents deal, right?
Yeah.
And so I was on Wilson Lake, and I was doing horrible on the final day. All like my spot's gone, nothing. And I had this other offshore spot. And I went out there and didn't catch anything on it. And I drifted in on the spot.
Yeah.
And I just pick up a bomber crankbait as far as I possibly can.
That's the one Socorro on it on Wilson. Yeah.
And I'm cranking, I catch this one, like a 5-pounder. And I'm like, all right. And so I'm looking down, and I'm a track up guy. I'm not a north up on my
yes.
on my
Directional of the graph.
So I go wherever.
I'm a track up. I'm always going to be running up. Yes.
Moat 90. Right.
Yeah, sure.
So I catch this fish, but the current's pushing me down. So I'm trying to I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm trying to with no spotlight back in the day.
No.
I'm doing all this and I'm like, man, I don't like me going to them. I'm just going to get off to the side, stay right here and fish sideways to them. Right.
Sure.
So I don't have to keep on backing up because my coiler's back there. I'm casting over him. So I'm doing that. And then he starts catching them on a crankbait. I don't. And then they stopped biting that and they started biting mine again. So he catches one of the biggest bags for a coiler. I end up smashing on him pretty good. But I spent half my day looking at that thing, and I'd be trying to figure out where I was supposed, because nothing like that, right? So I'm looking at, I did everything by
I was good triangulating again and
right, but then my arrow would be pointing this way because it's tracking up, but it's facing down, and so I'd be getting off my cast. So every two casts, I'd be off.
Yeah.
And so I spent more time with that thing, and the only other time was that championship that Moorhead won.
Yeah.
We had to use Ranger boats for that one.
On the final day?
Yes, I know this for this one reason.
Top 10.
Yeah, top 10. I had a hydro wave.
Oh.
Okay. Now we can go into hydro wave stuff because people always used to ask me, does a hydro wave work? And I'm like, well, if you ask anyone about hydro wave, and I don't have it's not on my book now, but I'll tell you this. Everyone's I said, all I will tell you is if you turn the hydro wave on, things will happen to you on the water that are unexplainable and that have probably never happened to you before. What does that mean? I'm like, just turn it on and see what happens. Something will happen and you'll be like, that was weird. So I had that hydro wave on and I was catching schooling fish. It got cold, real cold, the day or two before. And the schooling fish all went away. And there were pockets of these shad, size of a table.
Yeah.
They flicker. Okay. and I could throw it. I could throw a chatterbait, and I don't understand why this, but like I said, everyone was throwing Alabama bait, and I could stroke that chatterbait off the bottom. I don't even know. I think I backlashed. I wasn't smart enough to figure this out. I backlashed something and did it,
It got
and
hammered.
caught one, and I ran with that, and it was like night and day. It was amazing. So I'm doing this, and I'm catching fish doing this, and that hydro wave would like I would see them like start to flicker because the hydro wave, and I would catch them because there was like a bass or two, and there was hundreds of them all through pockets, these little things, and there was like a fish on every one of them.
In the fall, those huge big balls. I mean, the water's black.
So 2 times in this event, one of the times we're sitting and I power pulled down, and a guy rolled up on me and power pulled down. And we're throwing in like 2 foot of water.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of come up. They kind of came up a little bit, and we catch them. Like he's catching them, I'm catching them. Okay, and they go back down, but they're in 2-3 foot of water. They're nothing.
Sure.
So we fish for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, all right, man, I'll see you. I don't know who it was, right?
Yeah.
I said, I can just go catch fish. This isn't hard to catch fish. So I rolled out of there and just started doing this, and I didn't catch anything. I didn't realize it had gotten hard. This was on day 1. So I roll back. That guy has not left. So I pull up in there, power ball down, fire out there. First guy's catch one. He catches one too.
Fire it back up.
Yeah, but he doesn't know any of this, right? And I was kind of like, whatever. So we catch like 2 or 3. And I'm like, all right, I got my limit. Now I'm going to go like for bigger ones. So I left. I talked to him after the event. No. He said, I talked to him right there. And he's like, you got a limit? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, man, it's crazy. I've been here for 45 minutes, man, while you were out there I never had a bite. As soon as you pulled back up.
Hydro wave.
Yeah, well, he didn't know that at the time, right? So I had one. So I was like, yeah, I got a hydro wave. And he was like, you think? And I'm like, you think what you want to, whatever. So the next day, day 2, I'm rolling, I meet someone on the bank. And we go around, and I went around the guy.
Yeah.
I went around the guy, and he throws up there, and he catches one. I'm literally like 20 feet from him, just trolling by him. We had talked. He catches one, and I was just going, like, of course, no big, whatever.
Best time to catch one too, by the way.
Huh?
Best time to catch one too, by the way.
Yeah. He's like, something's going on with my thing. I said,
I see where you're going with this because you passed by.
I passed by, and he says, and my thing's going crazy right now. Stop. He said, you got him. And I said, yeah, whatever. I'm like, I guess you're catching. He said, this is my first bite all day long.
You believe in it that much?
So at the end of the day, I see him, the same guy. He said, I never had another bite all day long. That was the only bite. I said, you know what's funny? I said, what? He goes, I had a hydro wave on. I was right next to you when I went by you. He said he went out and he called me later. He said, I went out and bought one the next day. He said, because there was no way that was a coincidence. I'm like, well, it's funny. And I told him about the other deal. And I'm like,
yeah.
I said, the 3rd day was my worst, it was a day 4. It was a 4-day deal. My day 4, I weighed in 13.5 pounds every single day. Day 4, they wouldn't let me put a hydro. They wouldn't let you put anything
on the staff boat. Couldn't change nothing.
I weighed in 11 pounds.
Yeah. That's a great story on the evolution of getting rid of boats that we supplied.
Now, I'm not. Everyone is like, so do you believe in the hydro wave? And I'm like, I always tell them, I'm like, I'm just going to tell you stories, and I have tons of them. And I said, and if you ask anyone that's ever used a hydro wave, they will have stories for you too. And I'm like, that's all we're going to ever say. And so, I got tons of them that are just like weird things. I've had fish. The first time I ever used on Rayburn, I had a 6-pounder swim out of the grass up to my trolling motor, which I've never had in my life ever again. And it looked at me a foot, was not scared of my boat, and looked at me. And I was like, what is going on here? Swam up to my boat. He looked at me, sat there for a couple of seconds, and swam back down. And I go, and my buddy was like, what just happened? I'm like, never seen that before.
He thought you was a minnow bucket.
I caught more doubles than I've ever caught.
I'll be honest with you, a funny one. I won a tournament. It's just a little Tuesday night or 30 boat tournament. but literally I patterned minnow buckets hanging off of residential docks. It's in the springtime when everybody's crappie fishing. And if they did not have a minnow bucket hanging off of their dock, I didn't fish it. And I would just put the trolling motor on high, and I'd go up till I see another minnow bucket hanging over off into the water, because I felt it was the same philosophy of a hydro wave. There's a ball of bait fish somewhere in the water. Hey, them fish don't know they're in a bucket. They just know they can hear that ball of bait fish.
All I know, Kentucky Lake, what the hydro wave, what I would do is I would have it off and on, and those things would, like, when it would turn on, sometimes they'd flicker, and when they flicker, I'd throw in one. And the final day, I couldn't get him to flicker. I couldn't get him to do that flickering. And so sometimes I could get him to school. Like, guys would be like, man, they seem to school around you a lot. And I do believe they do school around you. And so things were like, I was getting them to do that. And then the final day, I couldn't ever get them to school. I never saw any schooling. I never had any of them flicker. It just became and I was like, dang it. But,
Yeah. So people want to use their own equipment, all for those reasons.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, we switched to where they could bring their own boat, to the All-American. So yeah, it's been changed for quite a while, and for the good. But then again, the catch-22 is people bring that up all the time. You used to give us brand new boats to fish out of. Well, you know what? Everybody wanted to fish out of their own boat.
It was cool. It was a cool thing. It was back then. It was a cool thing when you made the All. It was a cool thing that it was like, everything's paid for. You got your hotel, you got this, you got a boat. We're going to get all these different things. And then, for whatever reason, things change. And now it's not the same. And so, like, that's why I brought up the change thing. That was like, it's going to continually change. People need to get used to it. The team stuff might change 3 years from now to something it might be it still might be a team thing, but it might not look like what it is this 20.
It could be 100% solo in 3 years.
Yeah.
It may just evolve to where we get, an average of 125 to 150 boats that fish solo. Okay, then why are we even doing the team thing anymore?
Yeah.
It may evolve to just a solo trail. Who knows? We'll see. But I promise you, if something changes, it's because we truly believe it's for the greater good of the sport.
Let's live on this note.
Yeah.
People just have to realize that, like, y'all change, and we all change not because we want to, because you have to. They're changing something that is not working. So, like, the All-American might have been the biggest thing ever in 2006. And when you see this thing going like this, let's see, get on the camera. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, when it starts doing this, and then when it does this every year after that, and like, we're going to change, and someone's like, well, why? I'm like, well, dude, if we don't, where do you think that line's automatically going to go up? It might. The team deal might even go further down. It might. But if you don't, if the businesses that go under are the ones that never change.
That's right. That's what I said.
Try to change.
That's what I said. Show me a business that doesn't change. I'll show you a business that doesn't exist.
So I applaud. Because someone was like, Todd, you don't even fish the BFLs. So you shouldn't even have a say in this. And I'm like, yeah, but I did fish the BFLs. I don't fish them anymore for these reasons. That's why I don't, and I might not fish one team event. I don't know. Like, because I'm pretty busy scheduling, like, I don't know. But I was like, but I'm looking into them with the BFL schedule came out, like, I'll never even look at it. Now where I'm actually looking into it and seeing what's all available, because whatever it is, it's a better thing than what it was last year.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
It might not turn out, but I'm like, I'll look at it now. But before, I was like, I just had no interest in it. And I think a lot of guys didn't.
Yeah. Well, it has to. You know what I mean? Yes, it's one of them deals. BFL, as far as we know, people complain. Like, I got to get this guy this morning sent me a message. You killed the BFL. 40 years of history, and you just threw it out the window.
BFLs killed the BFLs.
For the BFLs that we know it as, the participation and the changes in the sporting industry did away with the old.
Y'all didn't change the BFLs. Like, the BFLs were this one thing, and then everything else changed, and y'all didn't kill it. It stopped being what it was, and it wasn't because y'all didn't do anything different. Like, in the sense of, it's not like y'all changed the BFL to this other thing and then it dropped. No, like, like I said, high school
It's
fishing,
been
college fishing,
BFLs.
like everything's has evolved. And so it's like, yeah, y'all didn't kill it. It killed it. It got killed on its own.
Yeah. What is that? Cannibalism. It
Yeah.
just took care of itself.
It took
And
care of
now we're
itself.
making adjustments to revitalize it and maybe to bring it back. And it's,
I'm,
you know what? It's not even the BFL. It's just a team series event. I don't even know what the exact names are of it yet, even. Hopefully we come out with something. Let's, I'd say retire the name BFL, retire the name All-American. Those are my votes. But anyways, that's a whole nother conversation that we still have to figure things out. Todd, man, thanks a ton,
yeah.
for everything you do. Like I said, you know me, I'm a super fan. I love your show. I love your videos. You need to give me a comped entry into your paid subscription one because I'm broke. I'm a tournament director. I don't make a lot of money in that, whatever it is, $1 a month.
I don't need you in there, to be honest with you. And there's a couple people that are like, most of them are pretty secretive, but one guy spoke out the other day and it was like, he probably does too much on his private channel.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, he goes, yeah, he probably gives away like, and I do. I'm pretty open. I'm really open about it.
I love an open book.
Yeah.
I
So
like it. Well, dude, thanks for having me on here. Let me talk. We talk more official stories than we talk format. But
they got it.
Yeah, I know you do, buddy. I appreciate you.
All right, man.
And we'll holler at you.
See it.